Welcome back to the Make People Make Sense series. This is video 5, and today we are doing something a little different. Today we are taking everything that we have talked about across the first 4 videos and watching it actually work in real life. I know what some of you are thinking right now. You have been following along through this whole series. You understand the idea of hidden forces. You get the concept of perception filters. You have followed the framework, but somewhere in the back of your mind, there is still a question, and it is this: does this actually hold up when real people are involved? When emotions are running high? When someone is standing right in front of you, acting in a way that makes 0 sense? Well, that is exactly the question that we are going to answer today. Because understanding a concept and watching that concept work in the middle of a real interaction are 2 completely different experiences. So let us bridge that gap now. Let me be honest with you. Most people have spent years, sometimes decades, being confused by the people closest to them. Think about it. You have probably watched someone you care about overreact to something small. You have probably seen someone shut down when they should have opened up. You have probably witnessed someone repeat the same painful pattern over and over again, almost like they can't help it. And the more you tried to figure out why, the more confusing it got. Here is what I have come to understand. The confusion does not go away by thinking harder about behavior. It goes away when you start looking somewhere else entirely. When you stop staring at what someone is doing and start getting curious about what is driving it, that is when everything shifts. Before we walk into this example, let me do a quick recap of where we have been. In video 1, we introduced the hidden forces method and the idea that behavior alone almost never explains behavior. In video 2, we learned to stop asking why they do that and start asking what might be causing that. In video 3, we explored the perception filter and how people respond not to what actually happened, but to the meaning that they attach to it. And in video 4, we went through the full 7-step blueprint. But today, in video 5, all 4 of those pieces are coming together, and this is where the theory meets the street. So here is the scenario. Picture a couple having what starts out as an ordinary conversation, and the wife says something along the lines of, "Maybe you should handle that differently next time." That's it. Simple words. Her intention is genuinely helpful. She is trying to support her husband, maybe even protect him. But the moment those words land, something shifts in him. His voice changes. His body language closes off. He starts defending himself. He starts justifying what he did. He becomes irritated and distant. And now the conversation that started as an attempt at connection has turned into tension and confusion. On the surface, this looks frustrating. It might even look irrational. Most people at this point would focus entirely on the behavior they are observing. They would see the defensiveness and decide that it is the problem. But the defensiveness is not the problem. It is a signal. And if we only respond to signals without understanding what they are pointing to, we will keep missing the real story. So what do we need to do instead? We need to look beneath the surface. We need to ask different questions. What emotions are present right now? What might this person be afraid of? What old story could be running in the background? The moment you shift from judgment to curiosity, You move from confusion to clarity. Here is where it gets important. The husband's reaction is not random. It is being shaped by the forces that are most invisible to his wife and possibly even to himself. His past experiences are influencing how he is hearing her words. His insecurities are filtering the message. His core beliefs about himself, his fears around failure, his need to prove his own competence, all of those invisible forces are converging in that single moment. He is not choosing to overreact. He is choosing from a place deep inside him that has been built up over a long time. From the outside, it looks completely out of proportion, but from the inside, it feels entirely justified. This is exactly why the iceberg model matters so much. What we see when we watch someone behave is only the tiny tip above the waterline. That is the part that everyone reacts to. That is the part that everyone judges. But underneath the surface, invisible and massive, are all of the real drivers. Thoughts and stories that this person is telling themselves. Emotions carrying enormous energy. Needs that are going unmet. Beliefs forming their entire worldview. Habits and patterns running automatically without conscious awareness. You cannot see any of that from the outside, but it is down there running the show. And when you only look at what is above the water, people seem unpredictable and confusing. But when you start accounting what's beneath it, patterns emerge and things begin to make sense. Now let us trace the chain. An event occurs. In our example, the wife makes a comment. The husband runs that comment through his perception filter, and what comes out the other side is not the message that she intended to send. He hears something entirely different, and that interpretation triggers an emotional response. Frustration, maybe shame, maybe overwhelm. And that emotional response produces the behavior that we observed. The withdrawal, the irritation, the justifying. None of that happened out of nowhere. It was a chain reaction, each link connected to the one before it. And here is the empowering part. Once you see that chain, you can work with it. Let us zoom back into our couple. The wife said, maybe you should handle that differently next time. What she meant was, I care about you and I want things to go better for you. But what he heard was, you did it wrong. You are not enough. Same words, completely different meanings. And that gap, that space between what was intended and what was received, that is where so much unnecessary pain lives in relationships. He was not reacting to her words. He was reacting to what he believed those words revealed about how she sees him. And once you understand that, his reaction is not irrational at all. It is actually completely predictable. This is the hidden forces method working exactly as designed. We observed the behavior, we identified the emotion likely present, we uncovered what the situation meant to him, we found the fear underneath, and we discovered the unmet need driving the response. We recognized that this is a reoccurring pattern, not an isolated incident. And then we considered how to respond in a way that builds connection rather than deepens the conflict. When you apply this process, something remarkable happens. You stop taking things personally. You stop reacting defensively, and you start responding with intention. The perception filter is operating constantly in every interaction you have. The wife's word passed through a filter built from years of his experiences his insecurities, his core beliefs about his own value, and his fears of not messing up. That filter transformed a message of support into a message of criticism before he even had a chance to consciously process it. This is not a flaw. This is how human beings work. And knowing this changes how you communicate. It means the goal is not just to say the right words. The goal is to understand the filter the other person is listening through. Now here is one more layer to peel back. Underneath the behavior, underneath even the fear, there is almost always a need. In our example, the husband needs to feel respected. He needs to feel like he is seen as capable. He needs the freedom to solve problems in his own way, and he needs to know that his efforts are recognized, not just corrected. When those needs are not being met, his emotional system activates. The perception filter goes on high alert, and behavior follows. When you discover what someone genuinely needs, the behavior stops looking irrational and starts looking like a very human attempt to protect something deeply important. One more critical insight before we wrap up today. What we witnessed in this couple is not a one-time thing. This same pattern has likely played out dozens of times, maybe hundreds, and the trigger may be different each time. The setting may change, but the underlying dynamic repeats itself, and it will keep repeating until someone in the relationship sees it clearly enough to respond to the pattern rather than the individual moment. Awareness does not just change a conversation, it changes the entire cycle. So what does all of this lead to? When you stop reacting to the surface and start responding to the whole story, your relationships transform. Instead of taking things personally, you get curious. Instead of defending, you seek to understand. Instead of creating more distance, you build a bridge. Understanding does not excuse behavior. It empowers better responses. And those better responses, one conversation at a time, one moment at a time, create genuinely different outcomes. And here is the core truth of this entire video. People do not need to be fixed. They need to be understood. Understanding is not the end of the process. It is the beginning of real and lasting change. Now that you have seen how the hidden forces method works inside a real-world situation, there is one important question left to answer. Can you actually learn to do this consistently? Can someone who is not a trained professional genuinely develop the skill to read people more accurately and navigate these dynamics in their everyday life? That is exactly what we will explore together in video 6. Make sure that you keep watching. The next video may be the most practically useful one yet.